success. The time by Psychiatrist is
7 o'clock.
What's your story? What's your sign? Who dreamers? Don't care what other people say. We're doing this in our own way. We come alive. We come alive. We come alive. We're doing this in our own way. We come alive.
Central Expressions, your best source for business, tourism, and entertainment. Tune in to Central Expressions on CVM TV Sundays at 3 p.m. Repeat Fridays at 9 a.m. Central Expressions is brought to you by the Gulf View Hotel in the heart of Jamaica, from the hearts of Jamaicans. The Orbin Group, Real Essence Media, National PC Bank, Central Expressions, your voice, your culture.
All right, guys, the news is in. You are loving MTM on CVM.
And for those who don't know, we are the Mitchells. I'm Wayne.
And I'm Tammy.
And you can come along with us on our journey every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Right here, you can see it happening on CVM TV.
Yeah, MTM on CVM.
See it happen, man. CVM man. MTM man. CVM man. See it happen, man. CVM man.
You're the sugar to my tea. Meet the Mitchell family.
CVM News at 7 headlines Tuesday, courtesy of Heart NSTA Trust, Jamaica's Human Development Agency.
Tonight in CVM News at 7, Cherry Tree Lane Massacre, community grieves and looks ahead. Psychiatrist urges residents to support each other. And investigation launched into video threats online.
Also this evening, expert calls for removal of Indicom Act to help fight crime. In the business report, VM and Jamaica Chamber of Commerce signed pension MOU. And in sports, new head coach for Chapelton Maroons. From Kingston, Jamaica, this is CVM News at 7. I'm Stephen McHugh.
And I'm Caroline Brown. It's Tuesday, August 13, 2024. Thanks as usual for joining us. Cherry Tree Lane, Clarendon remains under a 96-hour curfew following the massacre that claimed 8 lives.
Our reporter Ramon Gordon was back in the community seeking answers to the question, what's next?
Well, that's the question everyone's asking. How do you recover from an event so gruesome that some families lost multiple members? Now, some have suggested the residents relocate. However, they maintain the now infamous Cherry Tree Lane is their home. The emotions are still fresh on the ground, but already stakeholders have started considering their options.
All of us are God's children, and we don't like all of us, those who do the crime, and never want to recognize that. Doing this, it's nonsense because nobody will.
With at least 33 of the 96-hour curfew now completed, Cherry Tree Lane and the surrounding areas remain under lockdown following the brutal Sunday massacre that claimed 8 lives in Clarendon.
9 people are being treated here at the Maypen Public Hospital for gunshot wounds, among them an infant.
In Cherry Tree Lane, the atmosphere is a stark contrast to the previous day's hustle and bustle. However, the authorities have maintained a presence on the ground. Despite the tragic events, at least one resident remains hopeful their community will see better days.
We don't think them will give up because, we are fighting community and, them like them fun. It's a fighting community, resilient, we're going to stand up.
That optimism may be harder found for the families who still grieve the loss of their loved ones. Some lost multiple.
You're looking at my father, Lawrence Francis, and my sister, Curfew Daily. We know about parties, we know drink home. From work to home, the sister is same thing.
Are you thinking about possibly leaving the community? Are you fearful for your life?
I'm fearful, but I can't leave my community. This is where my mother buy her land. My mom's house is just up there. My grandchildren, they are born here. I can't leave. This is my home.
Support has already started to mobilize for the affected families. The top priority, recovery. CVM TV News caught up with 2 clergymen on the ground.
When we drove into the community, we saw some of the survivors huddled together. It's kind of like they were having some sort of conversation with each other. How important is community following an event like this?
Well, it's very important that the community comes together. And community does not necessarily only mean resident of Cherry Tree Lane.
A lot of work is to be done, I can say that, a lot of work. And the church is praying, but we need to do more than praying. We need to talk with them and help them.
The community of Cherry Tree Lane has been forever changed. They've been rocked by disaster. 8 of their own are now dead. Some say the community is resilient and will be able to rebuild. However, for the families, their recovery is only just beginning. Ramon Gordon for CVM News.
And during this period of public mourning, with an entire community shaken up, it's the best time for residents to come together, as you heard. At least that's confirmed by a psychiatrist who is encouraging the people in Cherry Tree Lane to be a support system for each other, despite the desire for isolation. Our reporter Trishagaye Kelly picks up that report.
It's one thing to lose a loved one. It's another having to live with that thought forever. And that is the case for Cherry Tree Lane residents in Clarendon who could experience severe depression and anxiety for years to come.
I don't know why they do this. So many innocent people to take their life out of them, even a baby. What can a baby do to you when you shoot it?
This is the pain and agony residents of Cherry Tree Lane, Clarendon are feeling following Sunday night's mayhem. Emotions they will be feeling for quite some time. The community has been left traumatized and in a state of fear. Councillor for the Yorktown Division, Anthony Davis, recounts trembling while listening to the family's wails as doctors came to give them bad news, one by one.
And you could hear the scream piercing your gut of parents and loved ones. And 3, within the space of a 5-minute span, 3 different cries of pain.
And though their cries may eventually stop, the trauma could live on forever. The psychological and emotional impact may even force residents to change their daily routines, as psychiatrist Dr. Brian Kazara explains.
Persons are going to feel particularly unsafe, and I think that's understandable Persons may no longer be able to engage in some of the collective activities, so sometimes children may have been outside playing. All of a sudden, children are going to be very fearful. So the whole space may be a lot more quiet and eerie and less active and vibrant. And that's something that will be felt on the ground almost immediately. The emotional environment is one that's going to likely be very somber. And again, you can expect a lot of collective anxiety and fearfulness.
What's even worse is that the residents may never forget that Sunday evening, and post-traumatic stress disorder PTSD could be looming in the dark. Dr. Kazara says it may manifest differently for children and adults.
In children, they may not be able to vocalize it the same way adults may be able to. We may see that they may cry a lot, especially in younger children. In the older children, what we might see is they may actually start exhibiting worse performance in school, both academically or even in terms of their own behavior. Unfortunately, for both adults and children, there can be significant substance use problems.
So how do the residents cope? Well, the psychiatrist is encouraging residents to connect with each other.
When a shooting like this happens, and persons may have lost a friend or family member, or they may have just observed it themselves, it can be a very isolating experience. So where possible, family, friends, faith communities like church communities, where you can come together, that can be very useful. Oftentimes, the government will try and get counselors in as quickly as possible.
The incident left 8 dead and multiple injured. Trishagaye Kelly, CVM News.
And we'll continue with CVM News at 7 right after this.
News at 7 headlines Tuesday, courtesy of Heart and STA Trust, Jamaica's Human Development Agency.
We are bucket together when everybody out. Fried chicken we are pre-bucket for the crew. Share a bucket together, everybody go live. Spicy original when we online. Bucket together to the new dance craze. Taste explosion bursting with flame. When we are bucket together, it put you in a good mood. Every moment you share is finger licking good. Bucket together, come make we bucket together.
Papa Jesus, insurance gone up again? Go faster. It gas our insurance.
Driver, let's go.
Do you really want to stick with the same old insurer? For the first time in Jamaica, taxis, minibuses, coasters, whatever you drive, MIBinsure.com will find you an insurer who will slash your premium by up to 60%. They all claim to save you money, but only MIB Insure actually can. Switch to MIBinsure.com today and save serious money.
Hey my peeps, get this on the regular. Your HIV status if you consider. At least if you test once a year. Just 15 minutes and your status clear. Cause it might not show up on your timeline and you learn too late so you're out of time. A progressive future, mandatory. Really long life, our story. You hear?
Remember, update your status in a real life. Do a HIV test today.
Just 15 minutes and your status clear. Really long life, our story. Real long life was a youth coming from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
CVM News at 7 Tuesday, brought to you by KFC.
We are bucket together, it puts you in a good mood. Every moment we share is finger licking good.
Welcome back. Less than a day after the Prime Minister and the National Security Minister issued warnings to criminals in and around Clarendon, one man felt compelled to share his thoughts on the authorities' statements. The video, which CVM has decided not to show, was shared on many social media platforms Tuesday and is being investigated by the police. Again, we hear more from Trishagaye Kelly.
An investigation has been launched into a video making its rounds on social media in which a man whose face is partially covered is threatening the government with more mass killings to come. The man even sent threats to the Prime Minister himself. Head of the force's crime portfolio, Deputy Commissioner of Police Fitz Bailey, confirmed that the police received the video earlier Tuesday and have begun their investigations. This follows Sunday night's brutal killing of 8 people in Four Parts, Clarendon. The incident also injured multiple residents. But on Monday, Prime Minister Andrew Holness warned criminals involved that they would either face the court or meet their maker. Meanwhile, National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang has made it clear that the government will be acting swiftly.
Every gangster, every criminal in the area between Clarendon and St. Catherine in particular must today understand we were coming for them. We find them, interrogate them, and what if they have any kind of even inkling of a source with this kind of brutality, we will find and deal with them.
He says the incident has prompted the government to review the local laws.
In the Clarendon itself has been doing some hard work daily. They're on the road 24/7, and the numbers were some 39% behind. But I've been advised, perhaps advised, to take a look at all the legislation we have. And we need to strengthen the legislation further beyond what we have done to find that. We will initiate that and you'll be advised as soon as we have set on that. And I have crimes have accepted, but we'll examine all of this because using automatic weapons to fire on innocent citizens is an act of terror.
Some 9 people are reportedly being treated at hospital following the tragedy that rocked sections of Four Parts Clarendon Sunday. Trishagaye Kelly, CVM News.
Now, while Jamaicans call for tougher measures to tackle gangsters who are abroad influencing local crime and weaken Jamaican-based criminals, one expert is urging the government to consider repealing the Indicom Act and overhauling the entity. Those suggestions, as a crime fighter shares aspects of the act allegedly serve as a burden to law enforcement while emboldening the criminals. Nika Lewis picks up that story.
On the heels of the country's latest mass murder in Clarendon, some Jamaicans have asserted it's time for extreme measures to push back criminal elements at home and abroad. But criminologist and crime fighter Dr. Jason Mackay says Jamaicans are not ready for the extreme measures needed to yield the drastic change demanded. This as he cites the challenges to crime fighting posed by the Indicom Act, introduced in 2010.
You'd have to remove the Indicom Act, first of all. It is a constant, it's a 400-pound weight on every police officer. They no longer have the right to remain silent. This organization's funding is still in question. Where are they getting their money from? What are their deliverables? You know, and it is something that impacts the ability of the normal police officer. You have police officers who simply don't care and will work and take their blows. Whether it be losing their visa or being charged.
Dr. Mackay says the act is also demeaning.
Basically, it's the act that's the problem because it's not the bad people who work there. A lot of good people work there. There's some people who work there may not be that great, but a lot of good people work there. But the act in itself is demeaning. It takes away the right of a police officer, but doesn't take the right away from a criminal. So once you have this type of divide in a country, you're not seriously at war. You know, so I mean, if it was my choice, I would certainly remove the act, create another one, close down this organization, rename it, rehire probably a lot of the persons that are there back.
And he says the entity would require an overhaul, adding it would never get past its history, one he notes has emboldened criminals at the expense of the freedoms of the security forces.
The 2011 to 2017 period and so on, that it has to be remade, removed and remade, you know, reboot it, new name, new act, serious rules against international influences, because we are an independent country last time I looked on the money, you know, and then seriously take on this fight, you know, create laws that divide the gang member from the regular citizen of Jamaica as it relates to remand, as it relates to travel privileges.
He concludes what the local security forces are up against is not to be seen differently from the terrorist actors in other countries. Until such a change comes, it's no secret what happens if criminals with high-powered rifles attack society and if at any point die in a gun battle with the security forces. Nika Lewis, CVM News.
Meanwhile, over in the east, taxi operators protested a shooting incident that left one of their own hospitalized. The man was shot multiple times after an altercation with a policeman Monday afternoon. According to the taximen, the violence is ongoing and they have had enough. Courtney Lewis has the details.
We are not animals. You understand? We are human beings. You understand me? And these things keep going on over and over.
Enough is enough for taxi operators who line the streets of Morant Bay with placards protesting police brutality after one of their own was shot 4 times during an incident with police.
And take this no more. I know St. Thomas alone. All over the island, brother. You have police a shoot, taxi man, a fire, illegal shots, and abuse. We're tired of it. We can't, we have work, and we honest job we do out there, sir. So if the law, if the man who's supposed to uphold the law with us, about brutalize us, what will happen?
They say they hope their peaceful protests will command attention from the Prime Minister and Police Commissioner. Amid their demonstrations, they were approached by police to clear the streets, but took the opportunity to share their plight on behalf of their wounded colleague.
See, very police is still like you. It's all right. You know what I'm saying about? You know a bush, me know a bush. Bush not drawing a machine. And it's on the news, and that's why we're there. The thing line up, lose the case.
Meanwhile, President of the Eastern St. Thomas Taxi Association, Kirk Brown, maintains the operators are not accustomed to the alleged violent treatment meted out to them by law enforcement.
We and the police have a good relationship over the years, and we would like it to remain that way. You know, we don't want this to be the start where, you know, police are, you know, shooting, you know, taxi operator. No, we don't want this here in St. Thomas. So we are just encouraging, you know, both sides, you know, all parties, you know, we have to sit around the table and discuss, you know, these matters so it do not happen again.
CVM News understands meetings are underway between the Transport Authority and the Taxi Association to address the matter as Indicom investigates. Courtney Lewis for CVM News.
CVM News at 7 continues with the business segment right after this break.
Everybody out. Fried chicken with a pre-bucket for the crew. Share a bucket together. Everybody go live. Spicy original when we online. Bucket together to the new dance craze. Taste explosion bursting with flame. When we a bucket together, it put you in a good mood. Every moment to share is finger licking good. Bucket together, come make we bucket together. Bucket together, bucket together.
This is the Aedes aegypti mosquito that spreads the Zika, chikungunya, and dengue viruses. Search for its breeding sites and destroy them. This is the Aedes aegypti mosquito that spreads the Zika, chikungunya, and dengue viruses. Protect yourself from the bite of this mosquito.
A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
We're really excited about this year. This event goes to
children in primary, secondary, tertiary schools, also community-based organizations serving those with special needs. And we hope to see everybody in 2024.
On this week's episode of Cooking with Love.
And this your girl Florence Eluche from Haiti. And you're watching Cooking with Love.
Eluche is in the building. When you talk about Asian, hip-hop, Creole, can't get it no better than this. This young lady, bad, but minister posts nothing about food. So we're gonna put her to the test right here on Cooking with Love. Yeah, look.
No. Cooking with Love crazy.
You are watching Cooking with Love.
Thanks for staying with us. Now to the business.